So, today we shall be taking a look at Ravenhold Modular Medieval Castle, Fortress and Dungeon Mega Pack. I would have just called it Ravenhold and been there and done with it. This is by Hivemind. Hivemind is a publisher that I believe I have a number of their assets, particularly from either free stuff or from Humble Bundle. I don't know how much I've looked at that content. I don't think I've really looked at too much of it at all. I haven't really had the time to, and hasn't really come up in my D&D productions. This particular thing was released only a few days ago. It is currently July 7th, 2026, and this was released on July 3rd. That's 2026. That's another 2 3s for 3 3s. Metzen smiles in the reflection of the empty Prozac jar. I have countless medieval castle sets, and yet another medieval castle set amongst so many others has come out. So personally, I'm not really expecting this to stand out, but it stands to reason I may end up acquiring this by happenstance, either through Humble or, if it's really good, perhaps through a sale sometime in the future. This is priced at a whopping $142 reduce. That is just crazy, so this better be really good. They advertised in this little, very low resolution image here, a very blurry looking image. It's hard to tell what the fuck's going on in any of these at all. Even their text looks highly compressed. It's probably just because Epic just saves this as some, like, zero quality JPEG. At least they're not using WebP like all these other disgusting middleware companies are now. Otherwise, this would look even worse. They advertise it as a complete medieval castle and dungeon environment set. Well, for $140, I would sure fucking hope so. And it has full interiors, which this might seem like kind of a silly thing to point out in your features, but I have noticed an increasingly large number of publishers do not even try to have support for interiors in their meshes. You get a lot of single-faced walls and stuff like that are very, very inflexible and difficult to use. So it is kind of worth pointing that out. Flexible material controls. Well, all materials are flexible. Highly detailed and game ready. See, this is a weird buzzword I've seen from a lot of ESLs, is game ready. Everything is game ready. What are you talking about? Dude, if it's on Fab or previously the Unreal Marketplace, by connotations, it's game ready. Like, in order for something to not be game ready, it would have to be like untextured base meshes, like a raw sculpt or something. I don't understand this marketing buzzword at all. This one makes no sense, and it's fucking everywhere. There's even a company that calls themselves Game Ready. It just makes no fucking sense at all. If you go to the actual screenshots, this still looks really low resolution, like it came off the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 or something like that. So, not really too impressed by that. As usual, as I mentioned before, I don't really look at these that much. I kind of look at the meshes, and I think, ho hum, ho hum, ho hum. But you can't really judge their quality through such low resolution, low quality images. You absolutely need to have PNGs at 1440 or something like that. I'd even sell for 1080. We do have some breakdown images here, very, very important. Now, lets us gauge how useful these assets would be. We do see a couple of what appears to be two-sided meshes here, and a chunk that are unfortunately not two-sided at all. We do have a variety of staircase setups here, including corners, which is a little irregular. I would hope that these chains have skeletons or something in them to make them animated. And we do have some destructible pieces. So the main reason why I wanted to look at this was these destructible pieces. This hypothetically could serve as an interim replacement for the Bless. I'm not really sure what it was called. It was like Black Forest or something. One of the castles, the one I used for Melgard years and years and years ago, is has some destructible pieces in it that kind of look a little bit like this. And hypothetically, I don't actually know to what extent of the existing castle assets I have, because there's so fucking many of them. Hypothetically, this might be able to replace that right? You might be able to build a new Melgird if it has all that already pre-built into it. Because a lot of the castle stuff that I have does not come with the destructible or the destroyed pieces to it. And making those is obviously well outside my skill level. Unfortunately, we do not get a complete look at the... There is no complete look at the breakdown here, which is a major issue with this marketing material right away. This is definitely not complete. What is kind of weird as we go through all this here is they're mentioning a lot of stuff that's just basically a given, right? Use these assets to create castles. Yeah, that's kind of what it shows you in the images. I don't know. They just made it really large. I feel like this is AI generated. What's kind of a red flag is whenever I see this, is as a bonus, it includes our pack at no additional cost. They generally do this because that pack is not selling or it was already given out for free. And they use that to inflate the asset count. So what I noticed right away is, in here it says it has 470 assets. We scroll down here, it says it has 647 meshes. So which one is it? Collision, automatically generated. That's a big ominous one. But it does say it comes with custom LODs, which could help us with collision. Obviously, we won't have this in the editor like the Pharaoh's Temple or whatever the fuck, so I won't be able to look at this unless they give you access to the console. So we're going to take a look at their trailer and then we will take a look at the actual playable demo. But first, we're going to look at this documentation. The documentation is on Google Drive, well known for giving people rootkits. And you have to carefully read these instructions. I don't know about you, but I find that it's kind of hard to read that. Let's see. Please enable the following plugins. Looks like Nanite displays meshed HDRI backdrop, and then it just says water. I don't know why you would need to use an HDRI, honestly. Just use the real-time skybox, or real-time skylight instead. Open the Fortress Kit Castle demo. Additional information. Oh, that's as far down as I can scroll. Where's our additional information? Isn't that strange? Actually, what ends up happening, this took me a while to figure out. You have to click on these and then it opens them. It's not a regular document, it's a special needs document. How bizarre. How utterly bizarre. The BPP contains the preset packed level actors. So this is kind of like the ones that we saw within that post-apocalyptic refinery. The ones that, when my character stood on them, the physics tail got dislocated and floated around without animating anymore. I don't know about that one, but I see people are using this instead of just using blueprints. And I have no idea why. Especially when the blueprints allow you to have things like customized materials and configurations. And the packed level actors are much more inflexible. Unless there's something I'm just not understanding about them. The rest of this here is pretty self-explanatory, but I guess with the general user base that accepts Fab for as it is, you do kind of have to explain things that are pretty self-explanatory otherwise. You'll need to open up the World Partition Editor, so they're using the partitions again. Data layers. These were utilized for the renders to ensure the background meshes are always loaded and visible when traversing the level. That's something I don't have to deal with, just having them in one map, by the way. Let me tell you about the foliage and there's stuff like that. We have a gym level. I'm assuming that's where you can become the Lift King. If I could look at this, that'd be fantastic, but I can't because it's just a tiny little image. Tiny little image. It's actually organized, apparently. sorted to what connects to each other. Something that is very uncommon. Very, very uncommon. So when we look at the packed level actors, most of them look like just small objects that normally would be static meshes. Right-click on a packed actor and break level instances. This will convert the packed level actor to static components. Oh! Look at that! That is not something I ever knew about. I learned something today. I learned that you can just convert them. That's great! You know, you can say whatever you want about this. At least we learned something today. Fuck geology. That's true, dude. Fuck geology. So they do use some master materials there. That means if you wanted to do things like remove dithering or the extremely buggy pixel depth offset or other stuff like that, you can do that here. To utilize the vertex painting functionality, you must temporarily disable nanite on the static mesh in question. Once disabled, you can vertex paint and use a red channel. Re-enable nanite and vertex painting will be baked onto the... What the fuck? Dude, that makes no sense. Why the hell do you have to turn it on and off again? They actually explain what all their material functions are within the instance. And they give some samples of it. So as far as documentation is concerned, this is probably the better of the documentation I've seen. Alright, let's take a look at their video and see if that stands up to scrutiny. They have it on YouTube and not on Mega or something else that gives a high quality experience. The first thing that stands out to me is that YouTube destroyed this video, but I can see a lot of what appears to be temporal and blurring and stuff like that. We have some birds whose wings were not moving. A lot of the lighting looks very fake. Wow, they actually show the breakdown level. Holy shit. Okay, they don't show much of it, but they show a little bit of it. When's the last time I ever saw someone show the breakdown level in a video? It's been a long time. Someone had a breakdown level video, but it was years ago. Years ago. Years ago. This doesn't show the whole thing, though. You should show the whole thing and show it more in depth. But you get an idea, at least, right? Like it's something. And that's just not something you get out of, like, fucking anywhere. Like, holy shit. Alright, let's check it out and see what we're looking at. So I haven't ever run this before. I don't remember the console commands. I might have to go snag the console commands for removing temporal anti-aliasing. Sharpening, dithering. Well, I can't remove the dithering. Vignette, I might be able to remove via console, and chromatic aberration. It is taking a long time to start, though. I'll tell you that much. It could be not starting at all. Or it could be because I'm encoding video. It's taking its time, that's for sure. This is significantly slower than my project. My project loads about 30-something gigs of compressed data in like 2 or 3 seconds. So I'm not sure what they're doing to make it so much slower. Oh, Ah, pop it in. Pop it in. All right, so I can see that we have a few nasties on here. For example, we're ghosting like crazy. We've also got Vignet. So I'm gonna turn anti-aliasing method off because nobody likes temporal. We're going to turn our post-process. Frankly, I don't know what it's called. Give me a moment. Holy shit! I can suddenly see what's going on! Dude, that's crazy. Oh, there's already something fucked going on with the ground. Tony? Tony, what happened with the ground? Guys. Something's really messed up with the ground. There's just this floating block of shadows. I wonder what that is. Or it's the camera interacting with something like perhaps pixel depth offset. Uh-oh, they've got tessellation. Oh, that's weird. That's not just tessellation. That is tessellation. It's not just. I thought it was parallax. It looks like parallax, but it's actually like a really ugly looking tessellation effect, I think. Is that what's causing the lighting bug though? I don't know. So I haven't even moved from the starting location, and there's already several severe problems where we have this strange whatever the hell this is. Whatever the hell this light is on the ground. There's also motion blur. I turn off motion blur and suddenly I can turn the camera without feeling like I'm gonna vomit. Turn off the sharpening. I feel like there's upscaling or something. Like it's still blurry. Something is very wrong. We're supposed to have jaggies, yes, but something is just wrong. Oh, the screen percentage wasn't even set up properly. That also was fucked. The anisotropy wasn't set up properly. Alright, I don't think if chromatic aberration was on, it was very subtly. This was a combination of incorrect settings all over the place, including what appeared to be incorrect resolution. So I see some grass floating in the air pretty much instantly. Just right in the starting area, the grass is floating in the air. The parallax on the ground looks really bad. It's really, really, really stretchy. You would have been better off modeling in this detail for sure, especially in 2026. You just released this pack and you're still using stuff from like 20 years ago. So that's not really a good look. I would definitely instantly disable that. Anything that turns up stretchy when you look at it is pretty gross. The walls look a little stretchy too in some cases. Yeah, look right there on the left side of the screen. That's kind of fucked. There's just seams all over the place and stretchy. Definitely very, very stretchy. So we're hopping up here and can immediately tell that we're definitely using auto convex or something for the collision because we're not able to stand on a lot of this stuff at all. Although we're able to stand on some of it, we're we're getting some odd behavior. The shadows here look pretty messed up. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure if this is even running Lumen or not, because this is really weird looking. Very, very weird looking. Very, very strange. Skybox is probably just a static mesh, I imagine. This does not have physics. I'm not sure the buttons actually do anything. I think it's just a generic third-player character. You can't move that camera around or anything like that. The tree is blocking the camera. Tree is a little low resolution, but not too big of a deal. The plant is clipping right into it. Actually, I'm not sure those branches are supposed to be there. I think that is supposed to be ground clutter. And it's just floating in the air, stuck to the tree, because they were not paying attention to what they were doing. Many such cases. These plants are higher resolution than the tree trunk. There's also some clipping. Just using that generic four-way wind or whatever it is. I forget what it was called. Just a generic wind function. It all looks exactly the same. I like instantly see that in everything that uses it, and it looks so bad. It looks so bad, which is why everyone uses it. There's no randomization to it at all. It's just back and forth, like at least mix a fucking sine wave or something into it. Uh-oh. Look at the stems on these ferns. They did not weight paint that correctly. No, sir. Oof. 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 At least have a fall off. It just goes from 0 to 1 in an instant. You can just see that there's just two vertexes there, and it's just a binary 0 to 1 weight. So the foliage would need work for sure. 100%. Even the vines are using the exact same thing. Although theirs animates slightly slower. So they scaled it just a little bit. There's something off-putting about it though. It must be the fact that the whole thing is moving like a snake. The tree is slimy. Look at the tree. See the tree on the top? It's slimy. The specularity roughness is giving me a very, very bright, slimy highlight off of something, and I have no idea what. I don't know where the sun is. The sun is coming from up there, judging by the shadow. So what the tree is giving me a slimy... There's like an invisible omni light here. You can see it against the wall too. I don't know. Something's kind of fucked. I cannot climb this ladder. I'm bumping off of this rock. There is This is collision. They might have pre-placed this collision, or what's much more likely, judging by the interaction elsewhere, is the tree's collision is just that fucked. Amazing. Amazing. So for 140 bucks, you're definitely looking at doing the collision yourself. Is this baked lighting? This looks kind of fucked. Now what's going on down here? There's just this square here, this hard cutoff right at my feet. See the textures? And there's a little block missing there. My first guess is that this is a decal right here too, at my foot, and over here, right there. So again, my first guess is that this is a decal. This fern is floating in the air, and it's just really, really sharp cutoff all over the place. If that's not a decal, I couldn't imagine what it is, but I think that's like a shading / ground clutter decal that they've just not had any fall off on, or feathering. I don't know. That one's fucked. That's a real mystery. There's a hard cutoff here too, at the foot. Oh. That shit's cooked. Over here as well. Hard seams all along the wall. Oof, oof, oof. Other than the initial UV issue, I do kind of like the rocks. I can see them being useful. I'm not going to comment about this grass, though. See the stretchy on the left? That could be the material settings they were talking about, upon which case I got to ask, why is it so fucked? It could be a decal. The whole thing is stretchy. No, this is using something. You see it darkening as I move the camera? I think that's SSAO, though. I'm not sure if that's lumen. That is so fucked. Why is it doing that? Is that because of weird fill lighting, or is it just SSAO? Oh, there's stretchy too. See where above there on the top of that rock? It's so stretchy. Some of it isn't stretchy and some of it is. I've got to ask. This lighting is so busted. It's really, really broken. Ooh, that collision. Why can't I stand here? Guys? Oh, I can show collision. We're gonna have such a gay old time today. Shit. This doesn't work the same way it does in the editor. I forgot that. There's a way to show the collision, but I'm not sure what it was. But this is like actor collision. Well, yeah, the collision's fucked. There's weird squares and shit all over the place. The ladder may be really simple, or it could be a problem. There's no pre-configured physics of any kind. The parallax slash tessellation slash whatever it is just further demonstrates to us that you need to model in this detail, not use a mask for it. This doesn't work. It never worked. This was never a solution. On the bright side, we get to see that those leaves have this dark border on them because the alpha masking is not done correctly. At least it isn't a bright border like many commercial products have released with. However, it is inconsistent between which leaves have it, so it is definitely not a stylistic choice either. The lighting is very weird in this level, so we get our camera in here, we can see this strange, slimy, specular response on the underside of the fern where there is no lighting, or at least there shouldn't be. And the grass sliding in and out of the ground because it's just not weighted well. The little ground, whatever, leaves are also sliding around in and out of the ground. And it's just not at all a good look. They should be more displaced above the ground. This should definitely have been fixed before we decided to show it to the general public. But as is often the case, no one fixes anything. I have no idea why these are so dark. This just looks bugged. This is just busted. There's a harsh cutoff right here between the ground and so on. The lighting in general just looks really busted. It looks kind of like they just stuck invisible Omni lights all over the place. And the auto exposure, I'm pretty sure there's auto exposure because every now and then it feels like the scene is darkening and lightening kind of out of nowhere. Because the auto exposure doesn't really know how to deal with all these invisible Omni lights. And we've just got these dark splotches all over the place. Many of them have busted intersections here and there. It's pretty broken. Remember, this isn't something I built. I never made this. I had nothing to do with this. This is their demo. So whatever they've done, they've fucked it up real good. This, I don't know if you're going to see this through the encode, much less YouTube, but this ground thing here has an animated dither on it, and it's tingling. Why on earth would you ever put a dither effect on that? That's going to make it blurry as fuck when you have temporal on. That's why people do it. They actually want to reduce their quality. I think they want to use it as like a fake blending into the ground. You can see the most where my foot is, but it just makes it look awful. Like when you have temporal on, it still looks bad. The ferns are clipping into the bell. You cannot go inside the bell. It's not like Naraka because the collision is not set up properly. And that should be obvious by the fact that if I try to stand on top of it, I'm repelled. And then I am standing on buttfuck nothing. I'm pretty sure auto convex gives you better results than this. I'm gonna be honest. That cliff is just, it's got messed up shit all over the place. Some of these leaves are coming out of nothing. Some of the branches, I was just talking about super bright highlights. And those leaves need to have their roughness configured. Holy shit. And the specularity is coming out of nothing. There should be no light source there. The cliff is blocking it. Very, very strange. Very, very... The birds are coming out of nothing! Tony! Tony, your birds are materializing out of the back rooms! Something is very wrong here. Yes, the leaves. The leaves are coming out of nothing. There's some coming from the tree, but there's some that appear in the gate or something. Or they're just clipping through it through somewhere else. It looks fucked up. It looks oh, the birds. The birds. The birds. The birds. Did that bird go through the wall? Now I gotta wait and see. I can be drinking my coffee in the meantime. Something looks very slimy up there. Looks like the wood is slimy. It has a very bright specularity response for some reason. It does. There's little white highlights there. I'm almost certain that the birds are coming out of it, and I'm almost certain that the top of the bricks is also slimy. Crazy. I feel like the resolution of these assets is like half of that in the machine gun one that I did earlier. One pass projection lights overflow. If you see shadow artifacts. Dude, I see a huge gap in the doorway. There's a giant gap in the floor because your floor is floating in the air or something. Why are we getting a VSM error when we have like no lighting at all? Is it because all the fill lights aren't casting shadows though? So why is there a giant gap here? Guys, that's not just a gap, that's a back face. You get to see all the back faces underneath. I don't think this was ever tested. I don't think anybody even looked at this before publishing it. Holy shit, the torch casts shadows! Dude, what is with the sparks on that particle effect, though? That looks terrible. And it's not even centered to the torch holder! Dude, your fire is not coming out of the torch. I gotta go. Look at the wall! Oh! Ugh. You know, looking at this wall and that torch, you could convince me this is a From Software product easily. Or that it's Crimson Desert. That's the exact kind of graphical fidelity that modern games release with. So at least they've achieved that. I wouldn't say it's anything to be proud of. This should be all modeled. Like this should not be a blurry, stretchy mess. It should be all modeled in. There's no reason not to. You have nanite, so even cell phones should be able to handle it. There's just so much fill lighting. I don't know why they didn't just use lumen and been done with it. The fill lighting just looks really awful. Either that or else it's set to such a low resolution it's not really doing its part. There's a huge gap here. Guys, the staircase is single-sided and it's floating in the air. If it wasn't single-sided, at least you might escape that indignity. There's also something, I don't know, this is another one of those things that could be really hard to see because of I-420. But this super slimy parallax effect, look how slimy it is. Look at the bottom of the screen. It's just really fucked looking. When you're up here and it's smaller, you just get these white seams. You should be able to fix that with the materials. I don't see why not, but why should you need to? It's so slimy. What the hell? What is wrong with their materials? Good lord. This other stuff isn't floating in the air. They just weren't paying attention to the one. There's probably holes all over the damn place I'm not really noticing. And then this, yeah, it's just more parallax. It's so low res too. Like it looks so bad. They displaced a bunch of low resolution textures. Because that's usually what people use that for, is they have a very low resolution texture and then they try to make it busy to hide it, as opposed to just having a high resolution texture and making it look good. Modern gaming really is a hoot. We have a thing floating in the air here that has some really, really, really harsh cutoffs on the branches because they just couldn't be asked to make the ends of the branches. They just cut them off, including the leaves. Just cut it off. You see that from the top, they kind of tried to hide it by sticking more on top of it, as opposed to just making it a complete object. There's a lot of laziness and shortcuts happening in this asset pack already. We haven't hardly even gotten into it yet. I've barely looked at it. Everything here is tingling, including the rocks, because the rocks themselves also have dithering. And then we've got over here, everything is tingling because all these dirt piles also have dithering on them. Because that's the only way we can make stuff blend into the ground. Yeah, I would just unplug that instantly. Doesn't matter if I'm using TSR or not in my project. Dithering has no place. We could have done so much more with this pile of debris. Instead of angling it in awkward ways where we can see the back faces, we could have made a giant pile of debris. That would have been really cool and avant-garde. But we didn't. So the player is allowed to come in here and see that we didn't. There is a red light here. Coming from nothing, actually. There's like an Omni light or something. Maybe several of them. Just... I think this is why we're getting VSM errors. See on the character? On the character, it's white. On the wood, it's orange. There's just floating Omni lights all over the place. If you open this up in Unreal Editor, you just go to every Omni light that's not attached to a torch and you just delete it. I bet you this scene looks way better. Like 1,000 times better. But they couldn't be asked. They couldn't be asked. They've just got these weird Omni lights all over the place. They had the time to do that. They didn't have the time to actually look at the actual map. So we just are fucked. This has the collision as if the rail is complete. It stopped me from moving. I couldn't step up that. That is really fucked. Is that really just the step height is that low? That is, I don't know, man. That's fucked. There's just weird Omni lights all over the place. Why on earth did you do that? There's one here. There's a hyper bright Omni light just floating in the air here, casting dynamic shadows. I feel like they just took another demo asset from an unrelated map and just like deleted all the static meshes and then tossed in all these static meshes. And then they didn't even look at the lighting, and then they just quickly threw it out and whatever. Maybe they use those new avant-garde generative tools that are being pushed for Unreal 6. And this is the result. Honestly, if I asked Grok or Chat GPT to make a map, this is the kind of busted shit I would expect to see. It's just weird lighting, floating shit all over the place, clipping all over. Very strange decisions made in the meshes. Of course, dithering. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the texture resolution may be higher in the shipped product. They may have downscaled it for the demo. I know Machine Gun does that. That's where their half settings come from. But there is no saving the material settings for this. I would have to completely redo probably all the material shit. I would definitely have to rip it apart and mangle it because they did not even think about the roughness values at all. No thinking was applied. They have 2 candles here that are producing light with no candle flame. But look to the left of the candles. Look to the left of them. The wall, the displacement map is incorrect. And we have some individual pixel wide, whatever the fuck that is, poking through the wall. That very well could be the edges from this side. No, look on this side. It's very hard to see, but you see that black line going through the bricks in the middle there? That is also a pixel-wide edge that the tessellation or parallax is jutting through the bricks. I have no idea what that is. It could be a decal even that's getting fucked up. When we look at this right side pillar, we see some major textile disparity between the center bricks and then the surrounding ones. They look like completely different art styles on top of it. They're just totally different. Totally different. And the colors are totally different too. And then we have the vines that look like they got annihilated by baked lighting before a bunch of Omni lights were slapped in a level that lit up everything else. There's a lot of problems in both the level and the assets at this stage. Look on this wall here. Look on the very right side of the screen. See that weird, like the edges of the bricks? How this very odd... This is like an AI artifact. This is like when I generate something in Stable Diffusion and it decides, I'm going to make these objects defy reality. And we just get like these weird intersections and stuff that just makes no sense. That is what parallax or tessellation has done to that wall. It is fucked. It is actually fucked. Straight up fucked. Unsalvageable. Completely unsalvageable. Just toss it out. It is busted. This technology never worked. And then most people don't know how to do anything with it. And leaving it to automation is just a bad idea. The lighting here is so busted. This ground is so bright compared to these dark cutoffs on the rocks. It's just horribly fucked. And then we've got whatever happened here. This is just beyond fucked. I don't have words. There's something really wrong about these nubs on this tree. It looks like they're dithered on the edge. Oh, that's because they are. They're shimmering. What the fuck? Dude, that thing is higher resolution than anything else in the entire asset pack so far. That little stump, that little branch stump, that has a textile density everything else should have had up to this point. And it's like triple the textile density of the actual tree trunk. You know, the most important part of the tree that you're going to be looking at it from ground level. But at the same time, it's a separate object that is dithered onto the main one to fake blending when you have temporal on. I don't understand that. Why? Why pay the extra performance cost of doing things wrong? I'm so confused. There are green leaves coming off of the yellow tree. And the leaves are tweaking out. They're fucking stimming. Look at them. It's tweaking. What the heck? I am losing my mind. Holy shit. This is crazy. This is actually crazy. At least this ground is not floating in the air. They've got that going for them. Hats off, dude. This flag is blocking my camera. Oh, no! Oh, the flag is using the exact same wind node. And it's weighted improperly. You can see it. They're all using the same wind node, some with a different seed or speed put into it, multiplied through it, but most of it just looks fucked. I feel like with these decals, they just were like, we need to have noise here. So they just slap them wherever. There isn't really much rhyme or reason why they're in any specific case. Why is this particular rock now wet and slimy? Why here? What made it wet and slimy? And why is it applying to my character asset when that could have been disabled? These are all basic questions you ask when you're building a level. Is what is the logic of how the biome works in the level? Why do things look the way they do? Why is this slimy? Is there water nearby? Did rain hit this area? So on. Why is there like wet moss here specifically? We didn't make like a little creek or pond or leak or whatever. We just put it here. And never in our playtest that we never had, evidently, did we walk through it and think, holy shit, I should disable decals on the player character. That's probably happened elsewhere, but I've been so focused on all the other fucked shit, I haven't even noticed. That one's really, really brazen, though. My cooking book has been defiled. Dude, all these, I feel like they baked lighting in this map and then they fucked around with a landscape or something and it broke the lighting on the landscape. But this is giving me VSM errors. This can't be baked lighting, can it? So what is this? Distance fields? Is it distance field shadowing? Is it... I don't know. Dude, I don't know. This is a mystery that absolutely baffles the mind. Why is the lighting everywhere totally cooked? It's a real mystery. It's so broken. It is just so broken. Oh, the ground clutter also has dithering, so it wouldn't have a harsh cutoff in the ground. But you notice, if we put our camera right here, not all of it has dithering enabled. Some of it doesn't. You can tell because there's the white twig to the left that is dithered. They do this so that temporal blurs it and it intersects with the ground, and it has a smoother quote-unquote transition at the cost of making everything a smeared, ghosting fucking mess that is never in focus. In the center of the screen, we have a dark twig that is not dithered and is the exact same thing. But when we look at the specularity, particularly on the right side, right bottom side, and on the bottom left in the leaves, we can see the whole thing is tingling and shimmering because screen space is great technology. And when this waterfall intersects with the plant, we get a cyberpunk rave. That, my friends, is fucking psychotic. I have only ever seen that kind of bug with nanite and in very old versions of the engines. And yes, that is multiple Vine objects just floating in the air and crammed into each other. One of which is on an incorrect angle because it's angled into the rocks. This wall here, this cliff, has harsh cutoffs. See on the right side there? These cutoffs to the seams in the wall. I can already tell you this pack is not worth $140 dues. I wouldn't pay $20 for this at this point. When my camera angles into this, the parallax turns into a hot mess. Look at this. Look at that. Let's parallax. It's turning into soup. Look at the middle of it. Don't do that. Guys, if you just went into your material and just unhooked that node, I guarantee you your map is going to look so much better. The momentary illusion of having depth you could have had with a mesh by making everything slimier, blurrier, stretchier, and fucked up, filled with all kinds of weird perspective issues that look like the level's fucking melting whenever you angle your camera or move it, is not worth anything. Dude, you got the particle aligned, kind of. It's a little too low. You got to bump it up a little bit, get rid of those giant red sparks, or maybe reduce them down to 1/10 of the size. Maybe spawn double the fire particles. Give them an initial fade in of like 0.1, 0.15. You can salvage this in about 10-15 seconds of time. But you didn't, because you were lazy. Lazy, lazy, lazy. Lazy, lazy, lazy. You were lazy. Brother, if you're not going to put effort into your demonstration map, I don't know what to tell you. This damage portion is hyper giga bright compared to everything else. The dithering is going to make me vomit. The collision everywhere is weird, but that's in part because the IK is responding to the ferns on the ground. Now, I have not looked at the newer third-person example assets, but I can tell you that these bricks are all completely different colors. And I don't know why. I think it's because the wall is supposed to be a different color, but when... Oh my god, dude, what the hell is happening with the edge of this? Look at it. Look at the edges. Look at this, the edge where the ground meets with the cliff. We've got them overlapping and clipping. And then we've got parallax. Looking at that and being like, is that some booty? And you get a fucking mess. No matter which way you look at it, it just looks fucked. You guys are asking a crazy amount of money for something that very evidently no one even looked at. Just FYI, this needs to go back in the oven for a couple months at this rate, at the rate at which you do work. This is madness. This is tingling like fucking crazy. Dude, even if you have temporal on, you're gonna see something fucked here. It's just gonna be more smeared. Your waterfall, that is demonic, friends. That whole thing is demonic. That isn't that their new water? I say new, it's not really that new at all. That's the Epic water, isn't it? No wonder why it looks fucked up. I have never seen Epic's water plugin used by anybody but Epic and turn into something that looks any good. But trying to turn it into a waterfall, that's bold. That's bold. You got balls, I'll give you that. I don't. It's just, that shit is cooked. You didn't use it for the bottom level though, or it's a different body. I don't know, but that's demonic, friends. That's all I gotta say is that's demonic, friend. This shit's floating in the air. Every now and then I just see these weird white highlights on like shit from busted specularity settings. And there are just weird omni lights everywhere all over the place. The birds fading in and fading out. Personally, if I was to have birds in my level, I would probably just pay the price of having them be a skeletal mesh. If I was to do it with a particle system, if I absolutely had to, I would make sure they fly between like very thick fog so that you physically cannot see them disappear on screen. If I had one circling, I would just not have them decay. There are green leaves coming out of orange trees, and the leaves look like they're too big. And their initial acceleration might be a little too high, I'm not sure. These leaves sometimes come out of nothing because the size of the emitter is too big or it's not placed correctly. It's also safe to apply collision to the leaves so that they land on the ground. We have the slimy decal again, but this time they scaled it down so it only appears on our feet. Someone had the foresight to do that here and not in the other one. We have fuck. This is a billboard, a fog billboard that appears to face the camera, maybe, or otherwise has no camera angle fall off and behaves very oddly. I'm sure if I go over there, I'm going to end up in an area I can't get out of. Dude, look at the water, though. That is really demonic, friend. You can't do that. That is some fucking Blizzard tier shit. We're finally entering the ass castle. The torch is floating in the air. Yep. This one is also floating in the air. Yep. The doors are clipping through the ground. Every time I look at these walls, look at the walls. Just look at them. This is your game on Parallax. This is like the first Castlevania reboot, except that one was somehow managed to be even worse. Or maybe it was a second Castlevania reboot. One of them was like the whole goddamn game was crawling and melting at all points. This is so busted. Dude, Parallax was a mistake and never should have been brought into the world. There's a twig sticking out of the ground here. Ovulating. Uh-oh. We did right next to the decal, we scaled down to the ground. We have one that covers the entire character. That is oh shit. Ooh. Better watch out. Fucking Darth Vader and his TIE fighters are coming down to say hello. Dude, there is a seam in the ground that creates lasers because there's water under there. Why on earth is Epic's water so busted? Why is there a seam here to begin with? What compels the game to make a seam here? Are these separate static meshes? Or is this like a landscape bug? You know, it could even be as a result of Parallax displacing the ground, but I've never seen that before. I have to assume they're separate meshes. That is just not how you make terrain, by the way. That is so fucked. Temporal might hide this momentarily until you put on your glasses. That is so fucked. Holy shit. Holy shit, dude. That is crazy. Whoa. Whoa. What's floating in the air? What is that? This slow fall. Dude, there is this black mess in the air. It's like a billboard. There's a floating billboard here. And it has like a cloud texture on it that's dark. And another one. I don't know. I don't know. There's just a billboard here that is really fucked up. That's all, that's all I know. Oh, that one actually has what looks like a camera angle fade on it. Kind of. That is so busted. Holy shit. That is crazy. When I come through, oh, it's a particle system. There's leaves falling down from the area that would be blocking leaves. Okay, you had a neat idea, but you were only thinking in 2 dimensions, Tony. Also, the way they fall is really, really unrealistic. The lighting in here continues to be busted. The dirt continues to tingle because of dithering. I'm starting to get sparkly like Edwards. Dude, the lighting everywhere in this entire level is hosed. The left side there, Parallax has actually opened up the wall and created a hole in multiple areas, actually. I'm not sure how this happens unless your wall has actual seams in it. Which, judging by what we were just looking at, is a very real possibility. Dude, this is fucked in ways I've never seen before. The wall is like made out of spider webs. Of holes. Amazing. There is busted specularity all over the place in here that could all be as a result of specularity issues coming from Parallax. I am honestly not even sure why that happens. But this is busted. I would have to look at it in the editor. I'd have to do some changes to it and see if it's just a parallax. There is just these omni lights everywhere causing specular highlights in places where there's no lights. There are holes in the meshes because they did not weld the edges together and then they applied parallax to them. Tony! This is really busted. You guys did not pay attention at all. Nobody looked at this and thought, uh-oh, spaghetti-o. We did a foxy-woxy. We better fix that. Nope. No one ever says that because no one ever pays attention. Where there should be a shadow, there is not. This is your brain on fill lighting. This is just, everything is just, you've got 2 layers of dithering going on. If the drunk Swedishman saw this, I can just imagine what he would be saying. He would be spouting odd words. This shield is sunk into the tessellation, never to be recovered ever again. This is the ancient heck, hell, death, holy hell, hope shield. You need it to defeat the epic void death fell boss, but you can't get it because the wall has consumed it. You need to go rescue the princess in another castle. His pronouns are he, them. And when you acquire him, you must bring him over to receive the floating branches sticking out of the ground mysteriously. His powers are necessary to free these objects from the clutches of Luigi and his fucking vacuum cleaner. And the dithering is your demon. You're always fighting it, vying for control. It will suck you in, and then suck you back out, and then suck you in again. And only in the Femboy Fent factory can you acquire the resources necessary to fight it off. But in order to power the Femboy Fent factory, you need VTubers to use as fuel. And only after you fed enough VTubers into the Femboy Fent factory can you free this accursed world from the clutches of the slimy damn bricks that you can stick your camera into. Because they're not real geometry. They're a fake-ass geometry. I can't even go up this board properly because the collision's so fucked. Oh, dude, it's the shimmering. This is like in 5.4 when I did my first recording for the Meshingun thing. Except this is in a cooked demo, and I'm pretty sure it's not 5.4. And it's a little different. My character was not set to not affect distance field lighting. So my character is making it even worse. This is the holy power of the Femboy Fent juice. It makes you glow. This torch is floating in the air. The particle system is a little too far low. This torch is floating in the air. 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 This banner is floating in the air and is slimy. Someone's been licking it. Tony has been tasting it. I have a shadow here. That's crazy. What about our cell phones? We'll never be able to perform. This torch is floating in the air. This torch is floating in the air, but not as obviously as the others. This torch is floating in the air. Oh, the shimmering. The shimmering. This torch is not floating in the air. It's firmly grounded. Well, somewhat firmly grounded. It doesn't look like it should go there, but it's better than the alternatives. The closed window is casting a light! Tony! Tony! It's closed! The light is blocked! But you're casting a light, Tony! Tony, it's happening here too! Tony! Tony! Tony, the femboy thighs are too seductive! Oh, it's floating in the air again. Oh, the lighting. Look at the rim. It's got dark edge. And then it's got a bright edge. Then it's got a dark edge, and then a bright edge, and then a dark edge. I'm just so confused. Which one should I trust? Which one is lying to me? But which one is real? I'll never know. I will never know. I will never know. Our barrels are all symmetrically placed, not rotated at all. You can tell because the bottom right of them has the weathering scratches that makes it all stand out, except for the middle is slightly darker, but nonetheless the textures are the same. They didn't rotate them at all. They just copy pasted. Tony. Tony. Oh, it happened up here too. Look at the wood. Look at the wood overhangs here. The bright wood is not randomized. So each and every single one is the same. We can see underneath the guardrails. The chains are not physics enabled. I'm pretty sure my very first dungeon pack I ever looked at had physics chains in it. But this one doesn't. This torch, you can look at the shadows. It's definitely floating in the air, just not by as much as some of the others. This torch is floating in the air. I can't tell with the shield. It may actually be correct. Well, a broken clock is right twice a day. Floating in the air, yep. Have you removed parallax? I bet a lot of those are no longer floating in the air. I can't fault a guy too much for being confused by parallax. I know I sure am. The lighting is so fucked. It's hard for me to judge anything, but it looks really low resolution overall. Ah! Whole jump scare. I'm always intimidated by holes. Look at it. Look at it. We can see into the abyss. My financial future is down there. Oh. Oh, the leaves. Where do they come from? This tree has some interesting lighting on it. This ground has some interesting collision on it. My poor mannequin has been witness to some true horrors today. Ah! Hole! 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 Hole door! Hole door! Oh, there's another one! Parallax opened up our butt crack. Someone's about to give us some unplanned hip donations. Right through that hole. The dithered mess is floating in the air. That's crazy. That is actually crazy. I can see this fog plane. At least it disappeared. Dude, overlapping trees should not turn into phasers. What the hell is wrong with this? Epic, what is wrong with your engine? I feel like when it intersects the tessellation, it gets very, very confused. And I don't know. Something's fucked. I'm not sure I can blame the developer for that. Because Unreal Engine has a bad history with everything related to this kind of jank shit. And in here, everything is sparkly. Moving around my camera was making little sparkles that were like pixel sized. Oh, the water is so busted. Oh, Tony. Sometimes when I pass the wall, shit gets fucked too. Yep, they're crammed into each other. Crammed into my butthole. Fudge packed her right in. There's another bush peeking through here. Sparkly! Ooh. Well, they didn't say that this pack featured cyberpunk stuff, so I count that as a new feature. That's pretty cool. Inside the wall is the plant verse. Ooh, there's seams in the wall, too. That's interesting. That's the landscape again, isn't it? Or what should be the landscape. I am willing to bet that the parallax gets confused by the landscape, and that's what's happening. That's where those seams are coming from. Let this stand as a testimony to never using parallax ever. Wasn't there was something... Was it AF or something else? It must have been AF. I forced AF to 16 times, though. So this really is just parallax puking all over it. Because we wouldn't be seeing other problems. What's going on here? I mean, to their credit, the level is larger than most of them, but all that really shows us is what the fuck? All that really shows us is more and more problems. The further we go, the worse it gets. This is... There's like a billboard here. And then there is light, non-shadow casting lights bleeding through the wall and causing the specularity to get busted. There's a hole up here. You see, when you slap together a level this big in like an hour, you might make some mistakes. That's understandable. But when you don't place test it on top of it, go back and fix those mistakes. That's not as understandable. And if you looked at this level while you were developing it, the first thing you would have thought is, holy shit, Parallax didn't contribute anything to the game at all. We better turn these into actual meshes so it looks good. And then we can sell it. You didn't do that. You did not do that. You did not stop and say, I want a high quality product. You stopped and said, I just gotta sell this now. Gotta sell it now. Sell it now. Dude, I don't care if there's Omni lights floating in the air. Just sell it. Quick. Get it up. Quick, 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 quick. I'm running out of cocaine. My femboys are starving. There's no Fent. And before you knew it, there was a piece of wood jutting out of your ass. But you had no wood. You had no wood. You were woodless. Maidenless and woodless. The lighting. I feel like half of the weird issues with the lighting and the shimmering is as a result of the level being almost entirely illuminated through non-shadow casting fill lights. There is another hole. There are so many holes in here. There are so many holes. There are bushes clipping through the ground again. This is nuts, honestly. I love the tiling textures. I love it. You guys didn't, you could have added some decals to the huge bridge that I live in Canada where it's always humid. And I've seen what a year of humid wind in baking summer does to a wall, okay? It gets dirty. I think a giant bridge would be similar. There's a seam in the ground again. Tony, what the hell is wrong with your terrain? It's here. It's everywhere. It's flickering. There's white speckles in the ground because your roughness is not configured. And this is getting 5 crazy 3 me. Five crazy 3 me, I fell. This past projection issue is exclusively from VSM. From these Omni lights casting shadows in the middle of nowhere that never should have existed, ever. Oh shit, dude, is that a back face? That's that's crazy. We can see a floating object up there. Let's head up to the epic Halahope Heck Castle. Can I get up there? I should be able to. That should have an interior. Unless they didn't want you to go up there. You may not be able to. Let's try to oh my fucking god. What the hell happened? I almost think that this is like some distance field based shadow they've got going. Ah, no! Oh, dude. You can't just link me to Goatsy? Not without letting me get my lube first. This is a seam in the ground. It's just... That's gonna make me tweak out, I swear. Alright, let's try to get up to this holy hell heck castle. With automated collision, I might not be able to, unfortunately. Can't really jump up these rocks. There is some bright... Oh, that's the edges of staircases. I think they intentionally designed it so you can't go up there. There's probably no interior. So they were like, dude, we've already put an hour into this map. We can't put any more work into that. That is too much fucking work. So they don't let you go up there. The vines are just pitch black compared to the wall. Like, I don't know why you didn't try to fix the lighting at least. What the hell? Your decal is stretchy. And it's applying to my character. And I don't even know why it's there. It really is just the very academic approach of just throw something there so it looks different. I don't think you can get up to the top. I'm not sure if there might be a console command where I can like teleport myself or something. But I feel like they just didn't want you to go up there. There's some very strange lighting up there, which is why I want to go up there. I'm sure it's even more fucked. But I think you can't go up there. Everything is sparkling. Half of it's from the water. Half of it is from trees overlapping with shit. We have this blue fog here for reasons. I'm not sure why that's shimmering. There could be actually volumetric fog there. But why it's shimmering? Well, it could be due to a spotlight or omni-light. There's something... Yep, I called it. I called it. I called it, Jiminy Cricket. I don't think I can get up to the top. I will never rise to the top. The femboy factory is all sputtered out. Just a used, sticky mass of cat boys now. Well, I guess I'll call it now or I'm gonna start hollering. I don't think I can go up to the top. I cannot ascend the shaft and find my destiny because I'm pretty sure they just didn't want you to go up there. Let's try it. Nothing happened. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! It worked! Hang on. I can use the power of science. Take me! It won't take me. I don't know why I won't. Take me to the mothership! Well, we learned that that does not have accurate collision. But it will not actually take me... That's kind of interesting. I've never tried to use this command before. I'm not really sure how it works. But I thought it just like takes you to the crosshair, right? But that is evidently not the case. There may actually be like invisible collision up there that it doesn't let you go up. Did I get up? Am I up? The bushes are floating in the air. This is very promising. This is very promising. I'm heading up the yellow Fentboy Road. Oh no! Dude, they closed the door. That's crazy. Hang on. Where there is a femboy, there's oh dear. Oh, the stretching. All right, okay, that's it. This is a hot mess. This is a hot mess. You guys got to go back to the drawing board on this. Turn your displacement meshes into actual meshes. Delete parallax from your engine. Never look at it again. Anyone on your staff who even utters the word is instantly fired. Straight up. Have a level designer look at your level and then give him a barf bag And probably some alcohol, because he's gonna fucking need it. I don't know where they get 470 assets from, because it did not look like 470 assets. It looked like maybe like 100 tops, right? And most of those assets are incorrectly configured. Your materials, you need roughness masks. You really do. You can't get away just having 0 roughness on literally everything. I don't give a fuck about temporal. Nobody gives a fuck about temporal. Feeding 0 roughness into temporal and not seeing fireflies and calling it finished is gotta be the laziest shit ever. And it looks like ass because everything is still slimy. All you're doing is further making headaches for people who are doing shit like forward. Or perhaps people who do not want everything to be a smeared, slimy mess. Even though I use TSR in my project, I would still have to go into the materials for this. And at the bare minimum, clamp roughness everywhere. Because you didn't bother to care. And then there's the holes. You have unwelded edges and vertices all over the place. The tessellation is showing us that. There are seams everywhere. And those are going to show up even without tessellation. So you got to work on your topology too. You're creating issues. You're creating issues not just that you're going to see holes in the meshes and weird pixel wide seams all over. It's also going to fuck with lumen and other things that need sealed geometry. Making non-sealed geometry is more work for less. Don't do it. It's just that simple. Just don't do that. I don't know what in the hell you guys were thinking with this. Your documentation and your video gave me such high hopes that there was actually somebody paying attention during this. And who knows, maybe they've downscaled the textures and in the final actual product, the texture resolution is more befitting of a PlayStation 3 product instead of PlayStation 2 like it currently is. But there's no way that this is worth $140. No way. This has so much work left to be done on it. This is like a prototype that you pitch to someone. It's like, hey, we can make a product and it would look like this. This is my idea. This is my storyboard. There are so many issues in this I just have literally never seen before, much less in a published demo. We've seen some busted shit, but this is a little extreme.